Okay, let's just be honest for a second. Most of us don't actually need a brand new $1,000 phone every year. The marketing is powerful and the new features are always tempting. But the question is, what do you really need? This is the iPhone 12. It was released 5 years ago, back in 2020. And according to the tech world's logic, this thing should be ancient history. It shouldn't be on anyone's radar in 2025. But here's the thing. It's still surprisingly good, and I think a lot of people could save themselves a huge amount of money by considering a phone just like this, but, and this is a big but, it is not for everyone. And there are some very real trade-offs you have to be willing to make. Now, full disclosure, this is the iPhone 12 mini. In this really nice blue color, it's been my secondary phone for a while now, so it mostly just sits on my desk or in my bag. The battery health is currently at 86%, which is pretty important, and we'll definitely get into that. I do need to mention that while mine is the mini, everything I'm going to talk about, the chip, the cameras, the design language, it all applies to the regular 6.1-inch iPhone 12. The only real differences are the screen size and of course the battery size, so just keep that in mind. In this video, we're gonna cover everything. We'll start with a little trip back to 2020 to see what made this phone so special. Then we'll see how the design and display have held up, what the performance is really like today, and I've got the numbers to back that up. We'll have a very honest chat about the battery life, look at the cameras, and talk about software, including the big one, the lack of Apple Intelligence. Finally, I'll give you my honest verdict on who should still consider buying this, who should keep it, and who should probably upgrade. Let's get into it. So before we talk about 2025, we have to remember what a huge deal the iPhone 12 was back in 2020. It felt like a massive leap forward. First, the design. Apple brought back these flat industrial edges, which were a throwback to the iconic iPhone 4 and 5. After years of phones with curved, slippery sides, this felt incredibly fresh and premium. It was easier to grip and it just looked sharp. This design language was so successful that Apple stuck with it for years, which is a huge reason why the 12 still looks so modern today, sitting next to the latest models. This was also the year Apple went all in on OLED displays. The popular iPhone 11 had an LCD screen, but with the 12, every single model from the Mini to the Pro Max got a beautiful Super Retina XDR display. This meant you got perfect inky blacks, amazing contrast, and a much more immersive viewing experience no matter which model you bought. It was a huge step up in quality for the standard iPhone line. And then there were the big buzzwords. Ceramic Shield, a new glass ceramic hybrid that Apple claimed offered 4 times better drop performance. And of course, 5G. This was the very first 5G iPhone, a feature that was all about future-proofing the device for the next generation of cellular networks. And we can't forget MagSafe. This magnetic system for accessories and charging was honestly a game changer. It made wireless charging so much more reliable by snapping the charger into the perfect spot every time, and it opened up this whole new ecosystem of wallets, mounts, and battery packs. When you put it all together, the iPhone 12 wasn't just another yearly update, it was a foundational redesign that really set the template for the iPhone for the next half decade. Its core features, the flat design, the OLED screen, MagSafe, 5G became the new standard. Newer iPhones have mostly refined this formula rather than completely reinventing it. That's the key to why this phone has aged so gracefully. It established a new long-lasting paradigm for Apple, making it feel much less dated than other 5-year-old devices. Okay, so how has that design actually held up after 5 years of real-world use? Honestly, remarkably well. The aerospace-grade aluminum frame on my Mini has a few tiny nicks from daily life, but nothing major. And that ceramic shield on the front, it's genuinely tough. I've never used a screen protector on this phone, and while it has picked up some of those faint micro scratches that you can only really see in direct sunlight, it has survived a few clumsy drops onto floors without a single crack. It's definitely more shatter resistant than it is scratch resistant, but for the most part, it really does live up to the hype. The Super Retina XDR display is still fantastic. It's incredibly sharp. The Mini actually has a pixel density of 476 pixels per inch, which is technically higher than even the newest standard iPhones. Colors are vibrant. Those OLED blacks are perfect for watching content in a dark room, and viewing HDR video is still a great experience. For just consuming media, it absolutely holds up. But it's a 60 Hz display. In 2025, this is probably the single biggest thing that dates the phone's user experience. When even budget Android phones and Apple's own Pro models have had 120Hz promotion for years, you can feel the difference. Scrolling through websites or your social feeds just isn't as buttery smooth. It's not a deal breaker for everyone, and to be fair, Apple's iOS animations are so well optimized that they do a great job of masking it. But if you're coming from a high refresh rate screen, it is a noticeable step down. While the processor is still fast and the camera is still good, the refresh rate is a fixed hardware limitation that you interact with every single time you touch the screen, making it the most persistent reminder of the device's age. Inside the iPhone 12 is the A14 Bionic chip. This was the world's first commercially available 5nm smartphone chip, which was a huge deal at the time for both power and efficiency. But how does it fare in 2025? Well, for day-to-day stuff, it's still fantastic. Apps open quickly, swiping between them is fluid, and I rarely encounter any meaningful stutters or lag. I ran Geekbench 6 on this, and my results were 2098 for single core and 4814 for multi-core. Now, to be clear, that's not touching a new A17 or A18 Pro chip, which are in a different league entirely, but it's still a very, very respectable score. It's faster than many brand new mid-range Android phones you can buy today, which is a real testament to how far ahead Apple Silicon was 5 years ago. I do a bit of gaming on this, and even demanding titles like this one are still very playable. You might have to stick to medium or high settings instead of cranking everything to ultra, but it absolutely gets the job done for most games. But the real hero here, the thing that keeps this phone feeling so capable, is the software. I'm running the latest iOS 26 Beta 8 on this, and it's just so good. Apple has done this huge visual overhaul with what they call liquid glass, and the new animations are incredibly fluid and responsive. Honestly, it makes older versions of iOS feel, well, old. The fact that a 5-year-old phone gets this level of software support and feels this fresh is, probably the single biggest reason to stick with an older iPhone. Apple support is expected to last until at least 2027, which is just incredible longevity. Alright, let's talk about the biggest weakness of the iPhone 12, especially this mini model. Battery life. There's no sugarcoating it, it was never amazing to begin with, and 5 years later, it's the biggest consideration you need to make. My unit is at 86% battery health. As a secondary phone that I don't use heavily, it's fine. It can sit on my desk for a day with light use and make it to the evening. But if I were to use this as my primary phone, it would be a struggle. I'd be looking at around 3 to 5 hours of screen on time maximum. You would absolutely need a midday charge, or more realistically a MagSafe battery pack to get through a full day of moderate to heavy use. The regular 6.1-inch iPhone 12 is a bit better, but it's still a far cry from the significant battery life improvements that came with the iPhone 13 and newer models. And there's something else that's crucial to understand. On an aging iPhone, the battery isn't just about how long the phone lasts. It's also a performance component. As the battery health degrades, it becomes less capable of delivering the peak power the processor needs for intensive tasks. When this happens, iOS will apply performance management, which basically means it throttles the phone to prevent it from unexpectedly shutting down. Many users report that as their battery health drops, the phone can start to feel slower with lag or frame drops in the camera app or while gaming. A battery replacement, which costs about $90 from Apple, can not only restore your all-day battery life, but also bring back that snappy-like new performance. It's a critical point to remember if you're thinking of buying one used or trying to extend the life of your current one. Okay, now let's talk about cameras. The dual 12-megapixel camera system, a wide and an ultra-wide, is still, really capable in 2025. In good daylight, it produces sharp, vibrant photos with that classic natural-looking iPhone processing thanks to computational features like Smart HDR3. It also has Deep Fusion, which helps bring out texture and detail in mid-light conditions. And night mode is available on all the cameras, including the front-facing one, which was a nice upgrade at the time. Photos taken in low light are very usable, though they are definitely softer and have less detail than what you'd get from a new phone with a much larger sensor. And video is still a major strong suit. This was the first phone to shoot in 4K Dolby Vision HDR, and the footage looks incredible, even today. The colors and dynamic range are fantastic. For a casual user who just wants to capture great looking videos of family and vacations, the quality is more than enough. But you can definitely see the 5 years of progress when you put it side by side with the newer iPhone, say an iPhone 15 or this one I have now, 16. You don't get the incredible detail that comes from a 48 megapixel main sensor, which also enables a high quality 2x telephoto zoom on newer standard models. You also miss out on software features like cinematic mode for that professional looking blurry background effect in videos, and newer phones have much better sensor shift stabilization, which results in steadier shots and even better low light performance. The iPhone 12 camera is still great, but the new ones are simply more versatile and capable in challenging conditions. Now, as I mentioned, Apple's software support is absolutely best in class. You're getting major iOS updates for probably 6 to 7 years, which means the iPhone 12 should continue to get new features and security patches until at least 2027. This is a huge factor for security, app compatibility, and the overall long-term usability of the device. However, there's a new dividing line in the software world: Apple Intelligence. The iPhone 12 does not support Apple's new suite of on-device AI features. And the reason for this comes down to a specific hardware limitation. Apple Intelligence requires at least 8 gigabytes of RAM to run its complex on-device language models. And the entire iPhone 12 series only has 4 gigabytes of RAM. So it's not just about the A14 chip's raw processing power, but the memory needed to keep those AI features running smoothly in the background. Now for me, is this a deal breaker? Honestly, no. Not right now. You know, Apple Intelligence is still in its early days. It's basically in beta. And for the heavy lifting AI tasks I need, I'm already using more powerful and mature alternatives like ChatGPT or Gemini on a daily basis. So while it's a bit of a bummer not to have that deep native integration, the practical impact for me in 2025 is pretty minimal. But it is something you absolutely have to think about if you're concerned with future-proofing for the next few years. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main things you need to consider. The real downsides of using an iPhone 12 in 2025. Battery life. Number 1, without a doubt, is the battery, especially on this mini model. If you buy one, you have to be prepared to either live with some battery anxiety or factor in the cost of a replacement. It's the most significant hardware compromise. 60Hz display. Number 2, the 60Hz screen. It's a good quality panel, but it lacks the fluid smoothness of modern phones, and it's a very noticeable difference if you're used to 120Hz. No future AI features. Number 3, no Apple Intelligence. While it may not be a huge deal today, you will be missing out on Apple's entire future AI ecosystem on this device. It's a cap on its future potential. Base storage. And finally, be careful with the base model. It starts at 64 gigabytes, and in 2025, that can fill up really fast with larger apps, high-resolution photos, and system data. If you can, I strongly recommend looking for a 128 gigabytes model. And then of course the port. iPhone 12 still uses Lightning port, and as you know, nowadays gadgets are all in USB-C. So after all that, what's the final verdict? The iPhone 12 in 2025 is in this really interesting spot. It's no longer a top tier phone anymore, but it's still a very good phone. The answer to whether it's worth it really depends on who you are. For the potential buyer, if you're looking for a modern feeling iPhone on a very tight budget and you find a great deal on one with good battery health, or you're willing to pay for a new battery, then yes, it's an amazing value. The performance is solid for everyday tasks, the screen is great, and the camera is very capable for the money. For the current owner, if you're currently using an iPhone 12 and you're generally happy with it, just keep it. There is no urgent reason to upgrade. Spend the $90 on a new battery from Apple, and it will feel like a whole new phone, ready to serve you well for another couple of years. And finally, for the user considering an upgrade, if you're on the fence about upgrading, ask yourself what your biggest frustration is. If it's the battery, then yes, upgrading to an iPhone 13 or newer will be a massive, immediate improvement. If you're a heavy gamer who wants to max out every setting, or you want the absolute best camera features like cinematic mode and better low light shots, then it's probably time to make the jump. The tangible benefits are definitely there if you need them. Ultimately, the iPhone 12 is a testament to what happens when you combine a powerful chip with years of excellent software support. It has aged incredibly gracefully, but that's just my experience. I'd love to hear from all of you. Are you still using an iPhone 12 in 2025? Are you thinking about buying one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, a simple thumbs up would be amazing. And consider subscribing for more long-term reviews like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.